Hey YouTubers, well I got another video review for you. So this one today is going to be on the RIDGID 18V cordless battery powered chainsaw. This thing here is got a 12-inch bar. You can cut up to around a 10-inch tree. Obviously you can, cut bigger than that, if you could make your cut on one side and then go to the other side and make your cut. So you can cut a pretty big tree with a small chainsaw like this. You'd be surprised. And anyways, I just thought this would be a good addition to my RIDGID tool collection that I have. I love the RIDGID tool platform just because it's lifetime service agreement on the tool, and a lot of people don't realize it, but lifetime warranty on the batteries. So if these batteries go bad, you can call RIDGID and they'll do some testing over the phone, and then they'll send you out a free battery. And if your tool breaks, you send it off, they'll repair it and give you another one. So it's kind of a win-win situation. I just want to make a quick video on this, show you how this thing works. Works just like a typical chainsaw. Has your chain brake here. You pull back or you can pull forward. That locks and unlocks it. And then right here you've got these nuts here on the side that hooks into the bar to keep it nice and tight. And then right here, if you look real close, there is your adjuster. That is your adjuster screw right in there. One thing that I thought was an amazing idea, they put a scrunch here in the bottom, and it's just kind of built in, and it's got like a little rubber piece right there, so it's kind of hard to get in and out. And the reason they did that so you don't lose it from vibration. So on this side you've got a flat blade, so you can make your adjustments right here on the tension of the chain. And then you've got the wrench end where you can loosen these nuts and tighten these nuts for the bar. I need to go ahead and tighten these up real quick. Now keep in mind, when you re-tighten these up, don't go crazy, because you can break that. You can break that housing. And also when you do your chain tension, it tells you right here which direction you need to go. So let's say you make the tensioner come back this way, righty-tighty, then that would tighten the chain. If you go back to the left, then that would loosen the chain. So what I'm referring to is this right here, how tight the chain is on the bar. Now another thing I wanted to show you here on the bottom. Let's say you wanted to hook this chain or this chainsaw onto your belt. Let's say you're climbing or something like that. It's got a place to hook onto it. I don't know if that's what that's for climbing or not. They probably just put that on there just to hang on the wall, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to use this for climbing a tree and using that as your chainsaw, you got a place to hook onto that's seems very secure. Next, you've got your little safety switch here. So you've got to mash this with your thumb back towards you that way, and then you squeeze the trigger. Now my only concern is I wish they would have made this lip a little bit higher, because it if you get on gloves or something like that, it's going to be hard to catch that lip with your thumb, because there's not much of a lip there. So it would have been a little bit better if they would have put a higher lip right there, so you could catch it a little faster, easier. Once you pull that down, that releases it where you can squeeze that trigger. And then on this side, this is your reservoir here for your bar oil. So you can see right there, there's no gasoline, this is bar oil. Now when I do these reviews, I try to do these reviews because I'm not paid to do this review, and I don't have no script. I don't get anything from RIDGID. I bought this with my own money, and so I like helping people find good deals. I'm a cheap bastard myself, so I like finding stuff cheap that's good quality. So I bought this bar oil years ago, and I got it for a good price, but I needed some more the other day. So I looked around and looked around and looked around, and Tractor Supply was like $13 for a damn gallon of bar oil. And same thing with Walmart, and it was no name brand bar oil. It was just cheap stuff. Some of this Husqvarna stuff and Steel stuff is more money, and yes, I'm sure it's probably a little better, and I'm sure it's a little tackier where it stays on the chain and doesn't sling off. But for me, I'm just like, I don't want to pay a lot of money for it. So I found this at RUAL King for $7. You can probably order it online, as well, but you know, they might charge you shipping. But I found this for $7, and I know when you go on the RUAL King, it's a different packaging than this, so you know, just search RUAL King bar and chain oil. Back to the chainsaw. Right now, this saw, you can buy it on homedepot.com, and it's like $190 with just the tool only. Now you can get it with the 6 amp hour max output battery for, I think, $220. So it's a really good deal. Now keep in mind, if you do get the one with the battery, or you don't get the one with the battery, make sure that you register it. It only takes like 5 minutes to register it. You put in your serial number and the model number, the date of purchase, and that's it. It's very easy to do, and it's really a no-brainer, because you know, let's say somebody comes into your house and, you know, breaks into your house and steals your RIDGID stuff. Well, now you have a record of that serial number, so why wouldn't you want to just go ahead and register it? I mean, it's just kind of stupid if you don't. But anyways, another thing that it comes with is this the sheath for the chainsaw. It's just a plastic run-of-the-mill one, but you know, it's just something that it comes with. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know, if you're, you know, getting this thing for the first time and you're just going to be cutting a couple limbs with it, and you're not going to be doing a lot of, you know, cutting with it, don't fill the bar up all the way, the reservoir full of bar oil, because when you leave it setting up, that oil is just going to leak out and make a dang mess all over the place. So, you know, like I said, if you're not going to do a whole lot of cutting, don't fill it all the way up, because you're just gonna make a mess. So I'm gonna put some oil in here, and I'm gonna show you guys just how good this thing works. And you can see this is the one that come with it. It's the max output. And the reason I suggest the max output ones with the chainsaw is because it does make it a little bit more powerful. You know, it does seem to run a little bit better with the max output battery. But you can see right there, you just slide it in, and you can still get to your indicator for the charge. It's fully charged, and if you're wondering, can you run the 8 amp hour battery, you can. There's plenty enough room in there. I've plugged it in here and it does fit. But anyways, you know, the first time that I turned it on, I was really shocked, because this thing does have a lot of power. You know, I'm going to show you right quick. I pull it trigger back and it does not work. The reason it doesn't work is because the chain brake was on. You see, I took the chain brake off and it runs. Now if I want to put the chain brake on, I just push forward and it locks, so the chain will not engage when that is locked. So that's a cool feature. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the off position, and now it'll run. And so it is variable by the amount of trigger that you give it. The more you squeeze, the faster it goes. And you know, just be careful when you use it, because it is, you know, it does have some power, so it's gonna jump just a little bit. You know, watch. You know, yeah, really powerful chainsaw. So a couple of reasons why this chainsaw appealed to me. Well, number one, me and my girlfriend like to do a little trail riding in the Jeep Gladiator, and so, you know, I wanted something where if we could just throw this in the back and we've got a chainsaw and don't have to worry if it's going to start or don't start, and don't have to worry about gas and oil and all that, just bar oil. And so I wanted something we could take with us on a whim and not have to worry about it. Number two, I thought, you know, maybe I might take up you know, some tree carving and making bears and things like that, you know, just decorative stuff. I thought this would be a good way to learn. That way I'm not having to constantly turn off and crank a chainsaw, don't have to hear it constantly and wear the earmuffs and all that. You know, if there's something big that I need to cut, then obviously I'm going to pull out the bigger saw. But like for, you know, doing the smaller stuff, I figured I could do this. Since this thing is such lightweight, I can pick it up with, you know, one hand, and you know, it's not too heavy. And I'm going to show you, I had a Bradford pear in the front yard, and I did some trimming on it, and I just wanted to show you on some of these limbs, you know, just how easy it cuts through this stuff. So here we go. So you guys can see, you know, it cut through that pretty good, you know, no problems. You know, it'll cut through some of this other stuff too. You know, I've got some oak right in here, and you know, I know it looks like it's got some rot on the outside, but I promise you the inside's solid. I mean, that's a pretty decent sized log there, and you can see it's solid. Now if you're looking for just a lightweight residential saw to just to have around the house, this would be perfect. Most people don't need nothing bigger than this. If you've got a lot of land, then obviously you want to maybe find something with a larger bar. And so I'm not saying to do this, but there is some YouTube videos out there that'll show you how to put a 16-inch bar on this saw, and they claim that it works good. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll try to link that video to this one and give him some views on his channel and show you guys how to do that. Now I don't need to do that. I've got gas powered saws for bigger things, but some of you might be interested in adding a larger bar to this saw, so I figured I'd throw that out there. Now, will it probably void your warranty? Probably, but just make sure you take that bar off and put the stock one back on there so RIDGID can't see it if you have to have it sent in for service. I'm going to show you right here just how good this thing does at delimbing just some branches. Let's say you're cutting some smaller stuff. So I gotta say the cuts are nice and clean, and it doesn't have any problems cutting it. Now, one thing that I've noticed that probably makes this this saw do so good is because the chain and the cutters are not very wide, and so it's not cutting a very wide path. So there's going to be less friction, and so that's how this thing has so much power. Plus it's geared right, and it just does a really good job. You wouldn't think that this thing would have as much power as it does, but it really does an amazing job at it. It's brushless as well. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys the internals there. I'm gonna take this side cover off now. Just for safety, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the battery out of it, set it aside, and then I'm gonna take the scrunch here, and I've already loosened the bolts there. And I just wanted to show you guys up underneath. I'm sure some of you would be interested to know what it looks like and how it's built up underneath there. But my first thoughts is, man, that plastic sure is thick. And I mean, it just feels solid. It really does feel solid. All right, so now that I've got the cover off, I just wanted to show you guys what all it looks like underneath. And to be honest, I mean, it's so puny looking. But this thing's a beast. I mean, it really is. But you can see the little sprocket in the clutch area right in there. I mean, it's just so tiny compared to like a regular gas powered chainsaw. But this thing is awesome. Now right here on the bar, it does tell you to make sure that you have the chain facing the right direction, with the tip of the cutters here on the chain facing that way, on the top, and then on the bottom they're going to be facing the back of the handle there. So it has a little diagram on there to show you, and then it tells you right there's your adjustment block, whatever you want to call it, but it calls it an adjustment block. It's basically a chain tensioner. It's right there on top. It shows that this chain has 45 drive links, and then down below it says a 3/8 LP, and what that LP stands for is low profile chain. What that means is they're wanting you to use a chain that is a low kickback, so this thing don't jerk back with you, and so it's not a very aggressive cutting chain. So me personally, if I can find a more aggressive chain, then I'll link it down in the description for you guys. and we can find something that maybe cuts even better than the chain that's on here. All right, so like I said in the description down below, I'll try to find you guys a chain that's a little more aggressive so it cuts a little better, and then I'll put some chains down there that are just cheap chains. I think you can get some for 3 or 4 chains for $20, so they're going to be definitely a budget chain, and they do work good. They might not stay as sharp as let's say an organ chain, but you're getting 3 or 4 of them. So if you're the kind of person that don't like sharpening and you just throw them away, and you get another one, then that might be the best for you. 3 or 4 chains for 20 bucks, that's probably as cheap as you'll ever find. But I'll link those down below. And then also, if you're like me and you want to sharpen the chain, then that's really the way that I would go. I would just buy me some files and sharpen the chain, and the chain will last for many cuts. So no, that's probably what I would do. I'll link the saw in the description down below. You just make sure that you register it along with the battery, and like I said, I'll link the chains, the bar oil to RUAL King, or if I can find it online somewhere cheaper, I'll link that, and then I'll link some files for you guys. So anyways, I do appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, I hope this video was informative to you. Check out some of my other reviews, and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It does help me get the video out there to more people, and helps the good old YouTube algorithm out, so they'll notice that I'm making videos over here and get more views. So, oh, and I almost forgot, I meant to weigh this thing for you guys. So keep in mind, I've got about a half a tank of bar oil, and there's no battery, and I removed the scrinch, and it shows 7.7 pounds, which is amazing. I'm gonna add the battery and the scrinch back to it, and then we'll measure it again. So now I've added the battery and the scrinch back, and it's at 9.4 pounds. So still under 10 pounds. And keep in mind, that is with about a half a tank of bar oil. And this scale is usually dead on the money. So I just wanted to mention that before I go. So hope this video helped you out. See ya.